Good morning, I'm Brad Phillips. I'm here with Puppy Steps Training, and today we're going to be doing Leia's demonstration for you. Leia is just a wonderful dog. I'm sure that you guys are going to really enjoy her, and I'm sure you're excited to get her home. And so, what this is, today we're going to be doing her demonstration. I'm going to go through every phase of our program and show you what she's learned and what our expectations are for her. It is important that you be extremely consistent with her, because as she comes into your home, she's going to be transitioning into this new environment, and so there is going to be some stress, as well as she's going to have to learn that you have the same expectations as I do. And so it's really important that you're consistent, and that's both consistent and rewarding as well as correcting. When we reward her, we use our marker, which is the word okay, and she knows that when she hears that word that she's done the behavior correctly and there's some type of reward coming. Now we do use 3 different types of rewards. Food is always going to be your most powerful and most rewarding, but we also do use toys as well as affection. And the same goes for correcting. It's important that you give her that information, and so when we correct her, we use the word no, and I treat the correction somewhat like a misdemeanor felony type of deal. If she does something wrong, regardless of what the behavior is, she's going to get corrected. Now, the correction determines how severe the behavior was. And so if it's something simple like maybe she broke a stay, I would tell her no, and I would have her do it again. And I'm always going to end on a correct behavior. That's really important. Now, if she did something a little bit more serious, like maybe she tried to steal food out of my hand or jumped up on me, I'm going to be a lot more firm in the way that I correct her. And I do that by adjusting my voice fluctuation and my body language. Also, we do have one type of physical correction, and that is a leash correction. And so if she tried to jump up or she was pulling, I'd give her 2 little pops on the leash. You're not trying to yank her backwards, but it's more so to apply pressure and get her to change her attention onto you. So now we'll kind of move into more of the bulk of the program. I'm going to start by actually just talking just briefly about socialization, which is what we did with her the first 2 weeks that we got her. And then I will get her out and we'll go over the manners, the obedience commands, house training, leash training, and crate training. So socialization, to me, that's one of the most important things you ever do with any puppy that you get. And so for the first 2 weeks, we focus on getting her out around new people, new places, sounds, animals, distractions, just as many new situations as we possibly could. And we try and do that in a controlled environment. That way, if she displays any aggression or timidness or anxious behaviors, we can take care of that and make sure that we focus more on the positive side of that experience versus a negative. And that way, if they do have any severe timidness or aggressive behaviors, we can kind of lessen that and take care of those behaviors, which I haven't seen any of those out of her. I think she's a wonderful dog, just very well rounded. So now we will get her out. We'll start with her manners. And so the first one that I will show you is her gates and her doorways. So when I let her out of the crate or we go outside, I expect her to hold a stay. Should be an automatic behavior, shouldn't have to tell her anything. However, she is still a puppy, and so sometimes she will try and test those waters, and so if she did try and step out, I might simply close the door or even lift up my leg and block her. It wouldn't be unless she's really persistent on pushing her way out that I would actually tell her no or to stay. Okay, good girl. Good girl. Now I'm going to put a leash on her. I like to have her drag a leash around because I do need to quickly correct her, grab her, or anything like that. And I will show you the house door when we go outside. Now, the next manner is what we consider her greeting. And that's anytime I call her over, before I give her any attention, I expect her to sit. Good girl, good girl, good girl. And that is her greeting. And it does a couple things. One, it gets her eye contact, and so you know you have her focus. But the other thing it does is it provides a replacement behavior for jumping. Puppies are notorious for wanting to jump. That's a behavior that's one of the hardest to overcome. And so by giving her something to do and knowing that we expect her to sit, it helps lessen that jumping. We've also taught her the command off if she does try and jump, and that's whether she jumps on me or wants to jump up on the couch or anything like that. Tell her off and expect her to get down. That is also a time that if you're walking her, you have hold of the leash, that you could do that leash correction, that 2 pops on the leash. It is important that if she's out running around and you're afraid she's going to jump on you, what I'll do is it's really important that you never, she thought about it, didn't she? You never step backwards. If you step back, it turns into a game. You're encouraging her to come and jump ahead. Instead, I'll always step into her, and that way I restrict the space, and I make it so that her timing's thrown off, and a lot of times they're not going to want to jump anyway, because it puts them more at a vertical position. And if she did still jump, I bring my knee into her and knock her backwards and tell her off. Now, dogs have this pack mentality. You'll hear me refer to that a couple times. And so usually, anybody that they feel are below them in the pecking order, those are the ones that they want to jump on or steal food from. Usually it is children. And so there's a couple things that I like to do just to make sure that she's not going to jump or take advantage of small children. First, when I let her out and first introduce, I'll have a hold of the leash. And that way, if she jumps, I can give her those 2 pops and tell her off. And I won't allow her to get the reward. And so in this case, the reward is being able to see the children or get pet or anything like that. And then I want her to sit before they're allowed to pet her. And that's a little exercise that you can actually do a couple times in a row. Just take the leash, walk them up, have the child call them over. If she tries to jump, I'll give her those 2 pops, turn around, walk away, wait a second, and then walk back up. And I'll wait until she approaches and sits and performs that greeting, and then the child can come over and pet her. And that way it just helps her as a reminder not to jump. So now, for mealtime manners. So anytime we feed her, I expect her to hold a sit stay. And so where she's already sitting, I'm just going to ask her to stay. No. Sit. Stay. Okay, good girl. Now you can see that I just told her no and had her do it again. She's very driven by her food, and so it's a great opportunity to really lengthen those stays, and you can make longer and add more distractions, but make sure that you always expect her to hold that stay. I also spend a lot of time just handling her when she eats, so that she's not going to be aggressive over her food, which once again, she hasn't displayed any type of aggression that way. Good girl. Now I feed her twice a day, morning and night, and so in the morning, we usually feed her about 7 o'clock, just shortly after we get her out. And then in the evening, I feed her as close to 6 o'clock as possible. And the reason I do that is I want 4 hours for her to clear her system before she goes to bed. And we put her to bed at 10. And we have been giving her a 1.5 cups morning and night. Good girl. So, just continuing on talking a little bit about aggression. Like I said, I haven't seen any. But we do spend a lot of time handling her, making sure that we can brush her, clip her nails, that she's just not going to be aggressive over anything. Now there is one time that just playful behavior can be mistaken for aggression, and that is with small kids, especially when it's like the neighbor's kids. And so I make a rule that anytime she's playing with small children, they have to have a toy. Because kids are like the greatest thing to a dog. They run, they squeal. She just wants to play along. She ends up knocking them over, maybe grabbing a pant leg. Nope. And you don't want that. And so if the child has a toy, that way it gives her something to go after. And then maybe if they're a little bit nervous, they can then throw the toy and direct her away. Good girl. And she does love to play. Good girl. Drop it. Drop it. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Drop it. No, drop it. Good girl. Now when I ask her to drop it, I just take it. Oh, good girl, good girl. And I'll grab it on both sides, and I'm going to hold it really still and make it so that it's unappealing to play with. I do expect her just to physically release it. Drop it. No, drop it. Good girl. Now it is important to notice with these plush toys, she still has baby teeth, and so I do want to be careful. I don't want to yank it away from her because I don't want to pull teeth. Instead, I'll just take it, drop it, And when I do this, I like to work on it. Drop it. Good girl. Because if you just, I'll do it a number of times when I'm working on it, because if you just immediately ask her to drop the toy and then you don't throw it, pretty soon she's going to want to run away from you and escape. And so I'll sit here and throw it a couple times, and you'll notice that she loves to play. She loves her toys. And you can play with her, you can tug with her, and it's just important that she knows that you always win. And so I'll just ask her to drop it. No, drop it. Good girl. Now, if she ever does not want to let something go, the first thing I'll do, like I said, is I'll just grab it, and I'll hold it really still, and I'll let her get a hold of this, and I'll make it, it's basically unappealing for her to grab and yank around, and a lot of times she's going to let go of it, because like I said, it's no longer appealing. And if it's easier to show you with something long like this, if she still didn't let it go, if you can, I just take it on both ends, and then I can rotate my knuckles in. You're just pinching her lips against her canines, and she's going to spit it out. If she still just did not want to let something go, what I'll do is I'll take my thumb and I'll slip it right behind her canine and push on her tongue. And you can see it just opens her mouth right up, just like a button. Oh, good girl. But she has a great toy drive, like I said. Spend some time playing with her, and she'll love you forever. Good girl. Good girl. Drop it. No. Drop it. So now, we've also taught her command to be very gentle with her mouth, and the command is just gently. And so I can tell her gently, and I expect her to be very cautious with her teeth, making sure she's not catching my hand. I'll also always give it to her in the palm of my hand. That way I can control the treat, and if she were to lunge up, I can just close my hand and pull it back. I'll just tell her gently. Good girl. And I expect her to be very cautious. So now, I believe it's the last manner, would be chewing. So chewing is a behavior you can't escape. She still has some baby teeth in there, which you'll see when you get her home. Oh, good girl. And so she's going to have to chew a lot. And it's going to be a couple months before she really gets through that chewing phase. So it's important as you get home to train based on avoiding and replacing. If you can avoid giving her free access to shoes, to toys, to anything you don't want chewed up, that's the best way to prevent an accident from happening, or a disaster from happening, I should say. But that's impossible. There's always something in your home that she has access to, and so that's where replacing comes in. If she goes up and wants to chew on a pillow or a bed or something soft, I'll match the texture. So I'll tell her no, and then I will replace it with something like that plush toy. If she wants to chew on a table leg, I'll tell her no and replace it with something like a bully stick. A rope or a leash, replace it with something that is rope-ish. Just try and match her texture, the texture that she's chewing on. And that way, you're meeting her mouth's needs. So, with that, we'll move into our obedience commands. And I will show you, come and watch me first. Those are our two most basic commands. We teach those from day one. Then I will show you hand signals for sit, down, and stay. And then our two place commands, which are go to bed and crate, and then leave it. So the first one, very simply, is just to get eye contact. And it's a very easy command. I do use food every time I use it because I want it to be super positive. If you ever have to just break her eye contact from a distraction, or just need her to stop, in which now she's not going to look away from me, but I can even put this food right in front of her nose. Watch me. Okay, and I'm just going to wait for that eye contact. Watch me. Okay, good girl. Right, she went for the food on the floor, which is fine. So, very simple command, just to get eye contact. We use her name very similarly, as well as I will use her name every time I call her to come. That way it's the same fact of breaking her attention off of whatever's distracting her and then following through with the come command. It is hard to show in here, Leia, come. Okay, good girl. It's very simple, just asking her to come to me. That is probably the most important command that you have. It's also the one that we spend the most time on. And what I like to do is I recommend that you work on it more than you use it. And so if you are, like 3 feet away, you don't need to use it. I can just, come here. Something like that, she's going to come over to me. That way the come command is in place when I absolutely need it. But it's important that, like I said, don't overuse it, but then work on it often. And so when I do that, I'll take a long lead, I'll hook it on her, and I'll just let her explore. That way I have control if she doesn't follow through. Every minute or two, I'll call her to come. But as soon as she gets to me, I'll give her a treat, let her go again. If she doesn't come, I can reel her in. But I like to keep that real positive. Give her a treat, let her go again. And you can do that when you're on off-leash walks or even in the backyard. That way you're really working on that come command. As well as it's important that you do have some positive repetitions there. So I'll do it 9 or 10 times just to give her a treat and let her go again. For that one time I call her to come and maybe we go inside or we're done playing, something like that. That could be taken a little bit more negative or even disappointing. So the next 3 commands, like I said, have hand signals. And so first sit is just a scoop over the nose. Just that simple motion right there. Down, I'll take my hand flat and go to the ground, and stay as a stop sign. So I'll get her off the bed. Come here. Sit. Good. Down. Stay. Just like that. Okay, good girl. Now we do have both a sit and a down stay. Come here. So I'll show you the sit. Sit. Hey, lay it. Come here. Come here. Come on. Sit. Stay. Okay, good girl. And so I'll show you those one more time, at least the down stay. Hey, come here. Come here. You can see that she absolutely loves her bed. Sit. Down. Stay. Okay. You can see that when she does that, when she goes over to her bed and didn't want to get off of it, I'm still not going to call her to come because I don't want to use that command in that type of setting. Whereas that come here or kissy are kind of an informal come. And if she didn't follow through, I just grabbed her by the leash and led her over. That way she has to follow through. So, but like I said, she does love her bed. Anytime that's down, she'll go over and lay on it. If you give her something to chew on, she's going to go right to it. As well as you can see when we were playing with the toy. So, very drawn to her bed, which is a great thing. If she does destroy something, at least it's contained. Like her toys, if she pulls this fluff out, it's right there. As well as it gives her somewhere to go. Like if you have a downtime, she can lay there and chew on something. So we do have a command to actually send her to her bed, where I can tell her, Leia, go to bed. And I don't care what position she's in, as long as all 4 paws are on her bed. And then she is expected to stay until released. Okay, good girl. Very similar, I can send her into her crate. Leia, crate. Good girl. Once again, I will give her the treat when she goes in, because being released from the stay is a reward. Because some of the time he would close that door and lock her up. Okay, good girl. The crate command I treat very similar to the come, in the fact that I like to work on it a lot. And that way she doesn't get so callous to you sending her in there and closing the door that then she doesn't want to go in. Leia, crate. Good girl. Okay. So the last one is leave it. We do work on this command a lot more when we're out on the road because there's things off the side of the road that you don't want her to pick up. And so when I ask her to leave it, I expect her to walk past it. I'm never going to let her handle whatever object you ask her to leave. And so if I'm working with treats, like when I work in here, she's never allowed to pick the one up off the ground. I'll always give her a different treat. And so I'll show you this, when I can just drop a treat. on the ground, which I don't know if she saw that. Right there. And I'll just ask her to leave it. Come here. You can see that she should just walk past it. And then I'm not going to allow her to pick, nope, leave it. And just like that. And then I'll pick up the treat off the ground. And that way she's not allowed to get it. So that concludes our manners. Now we'll talk just briefly about her crate training. And then I'll show you her house training. So with her crate training, spend a lot of time making sure that she's going to be comfortable in the crate. She's not going to be whining, as well as she's not going to have accidents. So right now she's doing wonderful with it. She's good for 3-hour blocks during the day, and then she has been sleeping a full 8 hours at night. We put her to bed at 10, get her out around 6:30 or so. With that being said, she's doing wonderful. She's not needing breaks. She's not whining excessively. But with this transition, it often causes them to have a loose stool, to have to go to the bathroom more frequently. And so I just think it's a good idea that the first night or two, you set an alarm and let her out halfway through the night. That way she doesn't start to whine, as well as she's not going to have an accident. Now, if she is in there and she's sleeping and it's been a couple hours, all of a sudden she starts to whine, starts to bark, just give her a break. I'll take her by the leash, go to the bathroom area. After she goes right back in the crate. That way, she doesn't think that she can start whining and get out of the crate when she wants. So, important that if you give her a break, is to go to the bathroom, right back in. Now, the other time that sometimes they'll start to whine when they get to a new place, and that's right off the bat when you put them in. That's because it's uncomfortable, it's a new place, she's still not settled, a lot of stress, but it's important that you ignore that whining. Because if you don't, if you then feel bad for her and let her out, she's going to start whining frequently because she thinks that she'll get her out if she whines. Instead, I might drape a blanket over the crate so it's nice and dark and just she can relax. I might also give her maybe a bully stick or a marrow bone to help her relax. Now, because of this transition, I also think it's a good idea to limit her water intake, because she's going to have to go to the bathroom more frequently. You might as well not make it worse. So give her, a couple bowls throughout the day as well as with meals, but make sure it's taken away by about 7 o'clock in the evening. So, if you do have any questions with any of this, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Now not the last, we have 2 more. We'll go to the house training right now, and then the leash training after this. So the house training, she's been doing good with it, but this is going to be the part of the program that's most involved for you. You have to make sure that you're consistent with it, as well as you do it right off the bat. We have taught her to ring bells when she needs to go to the bathroom. You can see that she's thought about it a few times. She'll walk over and sniff them, but hasn't actually rang them yet. She knows that those mean to go to the bathroom and where she's allowed to go to the bathroom. And so you're going to have to show her where the bells are in your house and reaffirm that they mean the same thing that it means to go to the bathroom. And so my favorite way to do this, there's a couple different ways you can do it, but my favorite is I do a form of training called free shaping, which is allowing her to basically teach herself. And we've done this already to the point that she knows what she's doing, and so you just have to do a small fraction of it. So what I'll do is I'll take a handful of treats, I'll break them up so they're nice and small, and then I'm just going to allow her to ring the bells and receive a reward. And so it becomes exciting for her, and it allows you the opportunity to get a lot of repetitions in a short amount of time. So I'll just hang the bells right here in front of her, and I'm just going to stare at them. Okay. And the first time or two, okay. I don't care how hard she hits them, just that she hits them. Okay. That's important that I'm not going to give her, okay, any eye contact. I'm just going to stare at the bells. Okay, good girl. Okay, good girl. Now when she's ringing it really consistently out of your hand, that's when I'll go over to the door. I'll hang them wherever you're going to, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'll just stare at them. Okay, good girl. And this is where you can start asking her, okay, to ring them a little bit louder. Okay, outside. As well as I'm going to switch my wording. And I'll emphasize that. Okay, outside. Good girl. Okay, good girl. Okay, outside. Good girl. Okay, outside. Now I'm going to take her out. Okay, outside. Good girl. Oh. Okay. Okay. Now I will give her a minute or two to sniff around when we're out there. If she doesn't go, we'll just come right back inside. There's no reward, there's no petting, no nothing. If she goes, I'll be real positive. Okay, get outside, good girl. I'll pet her, give her a treat, make it very rewarding. Now, if I were to do this at your house, I would then turn around, have her ring the bell, 2 or 3 times, go back outside. Come back in, have her ring it again, go back outside. And I would do this, like I said, 4 or 5 times so that she gets the repetitions right in a row. So she's seeing to go outside and go to the bathroom. Now, I took the bells off the doorknob just so we can finish talking, because what this does is it also gets her excited to ring the bells. And so it's giving you a lot of those repetitions to take her outside as well as she's seeing where the bells are at. Now, after this, I would take her every 30 minutes to the bells, allow her to ring them, and they go outside. After, I would do that for the first 24 hours or so. Then after that, you can gradually increase the time. Go to 45 minutes for the next day. Go to an hour, go to 2 hours. Our standard is that she should be able to hold it for 2 hours. Now, as you do this, it's so important to give her 100% supervision. If you can't give her that supervision, put her in the crate and she'll be just fine. Also look for signs if she starts sniffing real heavily, if she starts spinning circles, those are all signs that she needs to go to the bathroom. So, where this is the most important part and the most involved, don't hesitate to give me a call, anything like that. With that, now we're going to cover her leash work. And so we'll go outside, I'll show you that work, or that leash walk. And look for a couple things. One, that she's walking by my side with a nice loose leash, that nice J shape. Also, we do have 2 commands. Let's go signifies we're moving, and easy if she starts to pull. So let's go outside. Let's go. Sit. When I start this walk, I'm going to ask her to sit. That way I just have her focus, and I'll tell her let's go when we start walking as well as when we make corners. And if she starts to pull, I'll tell her easy. Let's go. Let's go.